Good evening and welcome to Suffering in Silence with Evangelist Tia here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Love Bay, we are continuing to rise out of the ashes together. Our topic on this evening is what is normal? And we have with us our co-host Jennifer Peterkin and also Erin Mitchell. Listeners, if you have any questions or comments for our co-host on tonight, you can email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. You can also text us at 437-778-3299. If you have any resources that you would like to share with us on a national or local level from your country, your community, any local organizations, or your faith community, you can also email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. And with that, Jennifer, I would ask you to go first and greeting our listeners and viewers on tonight.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here once again. I'm excited for tonight's conversation, actually. This is something that I feel very passionate about, so I'm excited to get into it. For those that haven't been listening to the show, I am Jennifer Peterkin. I am a domestic violence survivor and advocate. I've been working with Tia for a few years now. So in advocacy, I actually do have my own project called The Human Experience, which is a podcast about our personal stories and how they shape who we are. They inform our values and our principles and how we see the world. So if you would like to follow along with that as well, feel free to visit my website, thehxpod.com, or you can find me on Instagram at thehxpod.
Thank you. Erin?
Hi there, everybody from around the world listening. Such an honor to be on Love Bay Radio and a part of the organization Rising Out of the Ashes with Evangelist Tia and the group and the board that I work with, including Jennifer Peterkin here on the show tonight. So good to be with everyone this Friday evening to talk about what is normal. And I think that is also, I'll agree, a passionate topic for me as I ask myself that question pretty much every day. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, I got involved with Rising Out of the Ashes a few years ago as a guest on the show for work that I did in the Indigenous community in North America around murdered and missing Indigenous women, and an empowerment and self-defense training program that I launched as a pilot, as a model to prevent further MMIWG incidences in Indian country. I am myself a sexual violence survivor, and I continue to really get emboldened and empowered and healed from the work that I do in Rising Out of the Ashes, because this radio program, and with all of you listeners and with a group of women that I work with, and men and women on the Rising Out of the Ashes board, I get to constantly be able to share little bits and pieces of my own story. And I think that the work that we really are doing here at Love Bay on this program is about listening and sharing and being witnessed. So I really appreciate each and every one of you as listeners and the team that we have here tonight.
Thank you so much. Listeners, as usual, we want to start with sharing some resources. And I also want to emphasize, because it seems at least over this past couple of weeks, I've been emphasizing and sharing information for men to have access to resources. So all the information that we share, this is not just for women. Men are also able to contact these resources. And if there is a specific resource that is contacted, if they do not, for instance, have counseling specifically for men, if they only cater to women in a counseling area, that organization should be able to direct you to another organization in your area that would specifically offer counseling or maybe even shelter that's specifically for men. So the numbers that we share, the information that we share, this is for men and women. Gender has nothing to do with it. And again, if you happen to call a number, and they say that this is women specific, that number that you call should be able to direct you where you can find resources that would be specifically for men. So we want to encourage men, if you need help, if you need assistance, to reach out, and don't be discouraged if you run into one place that is women oriented. Please don't stop there. Don't stop your search there. Keep going until you get what it is that you need. And as Erin mentioned, Rise Out of the Ashes, we want to, again, put our plea forward. You can visit GoFundMe and look for Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. if you want to donate to our cause, what we do, our rapid funding, which we help individuals as much as we can with immediate issues that come up when you're dealing with domestic violence, when you're leaving a situation, or even if you're currently in a situation. We help finance doctors, visits, transportation, food, clothing, personal toiletries, medication. Those immediate things that come up, we try our best to help with. So if you would like to donate, again, you can go to GoFundMe and look for Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. I also want to offer to you Pastor Darius Daniels. He's the pastor of Change Church. There are several locations in the United States. His website is dariusdaniels.com, and his YouTube channel is Darius Daniels TV. And as I mentioned before, I believe if you're watching or taking in information from Pastor Darius Daniels, that's a step further in your healing process where you're ready to move further into deeper levels. So in the Virgin Islands, we have the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. This is in Christianidad, Virgin Islands. Their website is wcstx.org. We have the Puerto Rico Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Their website is PAZPARALAMUJER.org. In New Mexico, we have the New Mexico Coalition Against Domestic Violence. This is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Their website is www.nmcadv.org. And also in New Mexico, we have the Coalition of Sexual Assault Programs in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that website is nmcsap.org. And again, we emphasize and encourage men as well, if you need help or assistance, to reach out to these areas to get what you need. So we're moving into our topic on this evening, which is just the question of what is normal. And I have spoken to several individuals, and I can include myself in this. I could put myself at the top of the list for this category of people who want to get back to normal. And I really think, at least I know for sure for myself, I can speak for sure for myself. When I say what is normal, or that I want to get back to normal, what I really mean is that I want to get back to a place that feels safe. Like, I want to get back to that place within me where my confidence was strong, my self-reliance is restored. So I think that's what, at least I know for sure, that's what I mean when I say I want to get back to what is normal. Now, on the other side of that, again, speaking for myself and knowing within me, what I've been through my life, I don't think there is such a thing as getting back to normal. I really believe that when I think about my life, when I think about my experience, it never was normal. There never was a normalcy, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even realize it. There came a time when I knew something was wrong. There came a time when I acknowledged the abuse and I began my process of getting out of it, but my life was never normal. So I really think it's kind of like, and I really thought about this on this morning. I think it's like when the world was going through COVID in 2020, and the phrase was uttered many times. I want to get back to normal. I want to get back to the way things were. But things will never be the way that they were again pre-COVID. That's just not going to happen. So, like dealing with COVID, you will, as we all did, create a new normal. So I think moving into what is normal for me now, it's new. It's like it never was a normal because normal was never there. But now I'm in that space to where I can create it to be what I need it to be, which is safe for me. Now I'm walking in my confidence and my self-reliance because I had to put the work in to get there. But I think it's a loaded question. And I don't think that there's a wrong answer. So again, like specifically speaking for me, I think in my mind, when I say normal, it's like I want to get back to something that never was there in the first place. I think like for me, that's how I see it. It doesn't mean that that's bad, but for me, I do believe that's a part of being honest and coming out of denial, because what I truly want never existed. When I look back into my life, when I look back into my marriage, what it never existed. Normalcy was never there. I was always covering, trying to keep things even, walking on eggshells, making things look and appear to be something that they weren't. So I could be okay, so I could get through the day. Nothing was normal about that, and even, I've said many times I was married for almost 20 years. The first few years of my marriage, the abuse it wasn't evident. It wasn't glowing. It wasn't out there. But knowing what I know now and who I am today, now I can look back to the very first years and I can see what the signs and red flags of abuse were. But I wasn't calling it that. So there never was a normal. But I do want to be in that place of what I define normal is for myself right now, which is I want to be safe. I want to be confident. I want to be self reliant. I really want to be okay. So I had to create, and I have to keep working at it. I don't think that you get there and then that's the end all be all. It's over. I think you get there just like your healing process. You get to a good place. You have to maintain it. You have to work on it. So I think I'm where I want to be. I just have to keep working on it. So I stay here. But that's how I see normal. So what do you guys think? Jen, what do you think about it?
Oh, how long do you have? I have a couple of thoughts on the word normal. First is that, I mean, as human beings, we are just so resilient and our brains adapt so well to our circumstances. And so kind of along the lines of what you're saying, Tia, is that, what your normal was in your marriage, that was normal for you. Your brain had normalized that
Yeah.
situation to protect you.
Yeah.
And so good or bad, our brains are really good at adapting to whatever situation we're in, right? That's us protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to have voices that you trust in your circle to be able to kind of call out when things are veering into a territory that is actually harmful.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, like the word normal can carry some negative connotations if it's used as like a othering of people.
Mhm.
But I think what we mean is like a lot of the times, because I think it is most of the time used in good faith. I think most of the time we just need like a, a healthy standard, right? And so for me personally, when I was in my relationship, my marriage, I actually didn't know that I was in an abusive relationship until someone told me. And then it was confirmed by our marriage counselor. So I will never forget the words spoken to me. It was actually my mom that told me this. I had been keeping things to myself. I wasn't telling anybody what was happening at home. And I was isolated from my family and friends, both physically and emotionally. And it had been a little over a year, and things had gotten bad like pretty quickly. Um, and I let something slip accidentally to my mom. And then it was like kind of testing the waters, like how much could I say? How was she going to respond, kind of thing. And I remember her just kind of looking at me slack-jawed, and she was like, her exact words were, "That's not normal." And those words were my release. It was the first, it was this realization and relief washed over me at the same time. And I felt like validated, because I'm thinking in my head, well, I've never been married before. Like, maybe this is what it's like. Maybe I'm just supposed to be absolutely miserable and just really struggling. Maybe that's just part of the journey. And so to hear those words spoken in that context was extremely liberating. And I agree, Tia. I think we do have to work to build our new normal. And not to plug my own show, but when you talk about, you can't go back to the person you were before you knew what this experience was like. That's a lot of where the idea for even what I'm doing now with my show came from, is like, you can't unknow things that you've experienced, things that you've learned throughout your life. And so normal is a fluctuating, fluid thing. It is never going to be one singular path for your entire life.
Right. I think that was perfect. And first of all, yes, we want you to plug your show, because
I already did, so I don't want to do it twice.
So even with the concept of the human experience, I think it's bringing out and presenting to the world, your experience is valid, no matter how you began, no matter where you are, no matter what you're going through. Your experience, if it's good, if it's bad, your experience is your experience. It means something, and it's okay if you're not where you want to be. So for so long, when you think about just the word normal, I think about healthy. I think about good. Like, normal is supposed to be okay. But for so long, my normal was a survival mode. And it's crazy because there's so much that you don't realize until after, like until the situation is over, until you're out of it, until you've made the decision to do what you need to do and move forward. There's so much that I couldn't see because I was actually in it. But to be removed from it, and I think this year would be 10 years for me. I think I lose count, but I think I'm at like 10 years now.
Wow.
But again, my point was, for me, normal was survival mode, and I didn't even know it. I didn't. And it's again, and it's okay wherever you are, whatever. So if your normal right now is survival mode, that's okay. You're doing what you need to do for you, and you just keep moving forward. I just think the really important thing is being honest, because part of my at least in the beginning, I think the very first part of my story was denial. Like, I didn't want this to be so. I did not want to be a victim of domestic violence. I did not want, and I vividly remember going to the different websites and filling out the questionnaires and answering the questions, and the answers didn't change. Everything kept coming back, and it was like, I I got 19 out of 20 questions that said I'm in a domestic violence relationship, but I don't want to believe this, so let me go take another test and not answer yes to 15 out of 17 questions. So I think a huge part of dealing with your normal and getting to a different normal, if that's what you want to do, I think a huge part of that is being honest and coming out of denial and working with your situation where you are. And it's okay wherever you are in your process. It's okay. Erin, what are your thoughts?
I think what keeps coming up for me is forced normalcy in my situation. So for that, for me, it was an unconscious checking off of boxes that mostly society or cultural norms, so to speak, be married, go to family gatherings, like, the coupling situations, holidays, things like that. So going to school, getting a degree, getting a certain kind of job, volunteer, so it's like you check these boxes off, and I checked these boxes off, whether it was conscious or not, to tell myself that everything is normal. And that was a part of, protection maybe of what I was able to handle in those years. But looking back, I see that was just part of my own denial, part of my own inability to face certain truths. And I just wasn't available to do the really hard healing work in those years. And so, normalcy for me was forced. I heard one of my teachers once say, how do you be, she used a different word, but she said, how do you be sane in an insane world? So it's not exactly normal, but the word normal, but it's that same idea of like, when things are normalized in our society and our culture, and it's more normal to go into, let's say, go into an institution, whether it be your work or your church, and to be judged and looked down upon when you admit or go to them for help for something like abuse, when that's more normal than let's say advocating for that situation, that was my experience anyway, then when that feels more normal, then it's very, for me, that's abnormal, so it just becomes this really twisted word that can have a whole heck of a lot of meanings, and to even say it feels like it can be tricky, it can be turned around. And so I think you opening up the show, Tia, with normal for me means safety, security, self-reliability, confidence, things like that. If that for normal, so kind of on that vein, I would say normal for me now, looking back, is being completely connected to the most authentic version of myself, like that I didn't even know who that was until maybe in the last couple of years, maybe in the last year, and I'm going to be 48. So, it took me a long time because of the damage that was done in my youth. It just took so long to keep peeling layers back. And so I feel really connected to who I am, to what my gifts are. That will always be ever changing, ever growing. But for me, that feels like normal to me, finally.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because this year I'm going to be 48. And I think what I've always truly felt normal was, I'm on my way there. Like I'm just now on my way there. Like the older I get, the further I get, the more confidence I have, the more self-reliance. I think what I always wanted as normal, I never had it. I was telling myself I did. I think I was, and you used the term forced normalcy. I think I was operating in that forced normalcy. I was doing what I thought was normal. I was doing what I thought was going to make me feel better. Like, for instance, every year, every summer, I would plan out family vacations, activities, like the whole summer, like just about every weekend or several times in a month, when around about springtime came to the end of the summer, I always had activities. And so there was a point I was thinking to myself, I want to get back to that where we're going out and we're having fun. But when I was completely removed from the situation and when I look back on it, it wasn't fun because I would be dealing with abuse on the way we're, going to where we're going in the car, or dealing with it once we got there, the nasty attitudes and things like that. And so it was like I was trying to recreate, or I wanted something that was never there in the first place. And I couldn't have it until I was away from that. I was never confident in that. I was never self-reliant in that. I was always surviving. And that's not a good feeling because you're always on like a heightened alert. But to really think about it, that confidence that I so desired now at one point was there, but that was there before I ever got married. That was that kid coming out of high school and going into college, and then things changed. It was never there in the marriage. It just wasn't. And so I think that speaks volumes to be able to be where you are today, moving towards what you want to move towards. And you made another note. You said something about finding your normal, whatever your normal is, finding it. It's okay. For me, again, and we've said this before, part of me finding my normal was coming out of the denial that what I was in was not normal. I mean, if you go by just the definition of what normal is, that it was abnormal. And what I was trying to get back to was, it was like the good part of the honeymoon period where things were okay. But finding your normal, whatever that is okay. It can be healing if you're doing it the right way. But again, you can't be in denial, because there was a point where I was out of the situation. I was far removed. And something that was normal for me was to work out 7 days a week. I worked out 7 days a week. 6 days I was in the gym. On Saturday and Sunday, I worked out twice. I would work out twice. And Saturday and Sunday morning, I would run 5 to 10 miles. That was my normal, but that wasn't a healthy normal because I was keeping myself busy. I was keeping my mind busy. I was exercising to get away from not dealing with the issue, basically, to not deal with my emotions. I was able to put it in the gym. I was able to run. I was able to put it into the kickboxing. But as I moved along and I realized what I was doing, then I was able to move into what a healthy standard of normal is. And I know what that is for me, and we all know what it is for ourselves. And and I want to say it's okay to be who you are, do what you do. You don't have to mimic or try to follow someone else, but you do have to be honest. You can't be in denial, and you have to move in a way that's going to be healthy for you. But at that time, going to the gym, working out so much, I think that was still survival mode. I think that was still me surviving in my mind, surviving in my emotions until I was ready to deal with it. Because that was a lot of time I spent in the gym. Like I would be at work all day and then go to the gym 2-3 hours at night. And I enjoyed doing it. It took up my time. But that's where I was at with that. But yeah, it's the forced normalcy, finding your normal. As we say with everything else on the program, none of this is easy. It's not. We're not just throwing stuff out there and saying it just to say it. And we all have done it and we're doing it. So it's not an easy process. Oh, just go be normal. No, we're not saying that at all. Jen, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I guess kind of just on the following the stream of consciousness, normal can have that negative connotation of being something that is being like a societal expectation that isn't fair. And it's really just, whatever the masses deem is the best course of action or whatever. And so I think sometimes we can chase normalcy to the detriment of ourselves. And so I think it is a fine line that we have to walk and be careful, because just because you're living outside of the confines of what most people are doing doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong or you're in a bad situation. And so I think, again, just echoing the fact that normal for you is important. Like that is an important distinction when talking about normalcy. I think that there are certain things like, with the conversation that I had with my mom, it was really helpful for me to hear those words. But in another context, I mean, like what I am doing with my life now is so outside of the realm of normal for people in my age group. I mean, everybody I know is married and having kids and has a 9-to-5 job and is not starting a podcast and traveling the world. And sometimes it's hard for people to understand when you're doing something that doesn't fit the mold. And I don't think the mold is bad if that's where you want to be. But I think it is important to, especially after going through something like this, especially after going through trauma, to realize that what you're chasing, you have been through some of the worst things that you could possibly go through. Like chase what you want to chase, right? Like live what you want to live, be the person you want to be, because you should know better than anybody that you can't take that for granted, because it can be taken away from you. And so you talk about knowing things and not being able to unlearn things that your body has experienced. And that's one of them, something that you don't realize is how easily somebody else can have control over you. And everybody wants to think that they are immune until it happens to them. Everyone wants to think that that wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be in that relationship. I wouldn't be, assaulted. I wouldn't, I'm smarter than that. I'm this, that, the other, until it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Erin, you want to?
Sure. I was thinking on that line around social media, and obviously it's incredibly new to us here on the I mean, it's really like a 10-year maybe thing. Obviously for youth, it's their whole lives, but it is fairly new considering. And that I think that is really can also be something that we really have to check ourselves with. And I know for a fact, I do not participate on social media anymore. It'll be about 2 years in June. I had to make that healthy decision for myself. It's been really tough to be an entrepreneur, to fundraise, to do lots of different things when I'm not participating. But again, I know that there is some kind of psychological thing that's happening for us where sociologically, we want to be accepted by the tribe, by the community, by the pack, whatever metaphor you want to use in terms of anthropological history and what makes our survival, kind of hormones normalize, right? When we are accepted. And so there's a lot of this, let me show you what's normal in my life so that I get accepted. And that is disassociating from a truth and reality that might be happening within your home. And it can really twist you up. And so each and every one of us out there, our listeners, just be aware of that, be conscious of the impact of the likes and the, what will look good on social media versus, what's really going on. And it's not something it's not, again, like what Jennifer just said about if you enjoy that and it brings you love and peace and you like share, certain things that you're sharing, whatnot, staying connected to your families, your community, all that stuff. There's positive aspects for sure, but just, really having that, being able to have that conscious check-in with yourself and making sure that it's not something that's feeding a negative denial loophole for you in this present day society.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. And I'm like on the same wavelength with you as far as social media. I don't use social media. My Twitter, which is now X, I believe, that's for ministry. Instagram is for ministry. Facebook it's for ministry. It has to either directly do with the radio program Love Bay, Suffering in Silence, or my nonprofit Rise Out of the Ashes. I don't do social media, and it's been years. I don't know how long. And what I've noticed is that individuals around my age either don't engage in social media as much because they just don't have the time for it. Like they're not looking for the likes. They're not looking for their personal lives to be, put out there and just examined by the world. They just don't have time for it. Like these are adults. We're going to work. We're doing our thing. And, we have a life. We're satisfied. We don't need anything from the world in that sense. On the other hand, I've seen individuals my age who are on social media, and it's like, again, I'm 47. I'm going to be 48 this year. I've seen individuals my age and older, and it's like this is a way for them to be young again. It's a way for them to be liked. They put pictures of themselves up. I just bought this. I just did this. I have a new outfit on. I want you to see it. It's a way for them, I think, to feed themselves emotionally. And so when we talk about normal, on a one hand, Jen, as you said before, it's okay for us to be different. And we need to accept our normal, whatever our normal is. And I think, for instance, when we talk about social media, I think we also have to be careful of trying to live up to someone else's expectations. Like we can take the expectations of social media and make that a normal that we're trying to live up to. And that's not even reality. Anybody can go out to a restaurant and take a picture of the pretty food that they're about to eat and take a picture of the atmosphere. The ambiance is so beautiful, but you don't know what happened before they entered that restaurant. You don't know what happened after they entered that restaurant. I mean, there are individuals who take pictures just like they do themselves, put on makeup and everything else. They make everything look pretty. They add some color here and there. They put the lighting here and there to make it look like something that it isn't to the world. And then we have individuals on the other side of the camera now trying to live up to somebody else's normal, which really isn't even real.
Yeah.
So I think that's a point too, to be careful of not making somebody else's expectations your normal. You know, if you get up every day and you have a private jet that you step onto and you fly to any part of the world that you want to be in, that is great. That is wonderful. I don't want to take that from you. But part of my normal may be I just get up in the morning and I get dressed and I go outside. That's a huge thing. So don't take anything away from yourself. Don't think that your normal has to be something that's on a grand scale that you have to impress people with. I think that's a thing right there. Your normal should be impressing you. Your normal should be taking care of you. Because again, like as I said before, part of my normal, or what I thought was normal, was playing in those family activities and you know, keeping everybody together. That wasn't for me. I was trying to keep a picture together. So I really think about yourself. I think this is one of those times where you are important, very important, extremely important, where it's okay to be you. Your normal may be hair and makeup every day. Your normal may be a ponytail and sweatshirt every day. It's okay. So don't look at social media or don't look at somebody else's life and think less of your own. Because that is not in any way, shape, or form going to help build confidence at all. It's not. Jen.
Yeah, I think the parallel or the lateral road here that I'm coming to is I can only speak for the experience in North America or in the United States, but celebrity culture is crazy. And with the advent of social media, influencers are now really, really big, and they are celebrities. And so you have a lot of people that are really seeing not just like their friends, the best parts of their friends and families' lives, or the best parts of the people they went to high schools with lives, but these unattainable people that are making their living doing this social media thing, and it can be really discouraging because what is put out in front of you is that this is how normal people live, and it's just not at all true. It is such a small percentage of the world, but even the community that you're living in, that lives like this, and it's all a show, right? It's all like it's all performative on some level because that's how they make money. So and I don't really necessarily want to get into the morality of it, but just saying that it can be really difficult to be on the internet in any capacity where we are constantly bombarded with celebrity culture and influencer culture and these people that have everything, and we're comparing ourselves to them, and it's not anything. First of all, it's not healthy, obviously, but it's also not a fair comparison, because as you're saying, what is projected onto social media is not necessarily what's in real life. The other thing is I am very naive, apparently, and it blows my mind that people lie on the internet. Like, I know that's a thing, but I am just like, I don't get it. Like, why? I get embellishing. I understand that. Like, I'm sure I would do that at some point. But like people just straight up lie on the internet, and people can say whatever they want to. And I am 34 years old, and I am like, wait, what? People really do that? So yeah, like the embellishments are one thing, but also people straight up lie on the internet. So don't get caught in comparison cycles over there, because people are seeking to fit in, seeking to be understood,
Mhm.
seeking to be to find community. I believe with all of my heart that that is what we are built for. And so, if there is a lack of in somebody's life, they're seeking, and maybe they're not doing it in the healthiest way, but I truly believe that that is what people are looking for is human connection.
Yeah. So, Erin,
Yeah.
Did you know
Okay.
people lie on the internet?
Yes, and they're rude and they're mean. There's all kinds of nasty going on. That's for sure. Yeah, and with the AI stuff,
Oh,
that
that's
we're
terrifying.
seeing, yeah, I'm just, yeah. So, but back to normal. I mean, here's something too that I've witnessed, and again, it's taken a long time, but it gets me to back to what you were saying earlier, Tia, around define your normal. And here's the trick to doing it is, if you're feeling envious, if you're bringing your attention to something outside of yourself, that is attractive to you on some level, like to have a family or to go on that vacation to this place or to go to that restaurant or whatever you're getting kind of drawn into, it really takes some effort and probably a group of trusted people that you care about to kind of throw it down and peel it apart a little bit and ask yourself what's that about? What are you really looking for?
Yeah.
What are you missing? What are you needing? Why is your attention there? Why is that so loud in your field? Like your field of awareness. Because one of the things, and again, it's just taken me some time, and you could use social media, or you could use if you get the Christmas cards where the family's dressed up in the same pajamas. Okay, so I get those sometimes, and I got that from 2 different families this last year. And I promise you that the family number 1 dressed up in the pajamas, that's actually their life. Like they actually love each other and have a blast and it's fun and they got the same pajamas and it's funny and it's great. The other one, I know there's abuse happening. I know it between the couple. I know it with the children. And yet they all have the pajamas on. They're 2 different cards. They're all wearing the smile. And so even with celebrities, again, you don't know their life. You don't know what's going on inside under their roofs. What are you really wanting? And just to keep bringing that back to yourself of what do I need? What am I searching for? Am I looking for that confidence? Am I looking for that self-love? Am I looking, for some more fun in my life? Am I looking for some more community in my life? And just continuing to check in with, stop thinking that whatever you're seeing somebody else have is what they have. It's actually none of our business. It's really none of our business. Like, to me, I really hope that they're as happy as they look. That's what or happy as they're portraying. I hope that. I pray that's for them.
Yeah. So I just I think that was great, Erin. But before I make my point on that, what you just said, Erin, because I think that was great, Jen, I have to tell you, people do lie.
I mean, it sounds so stupid to say, but
no, it doesn't. It doesn't, and you know why? Because, again, I'm 47. I'll be 48. My age group, when we lied to each other. We lied face to face. Now it's different. Technology has made things different. Social media has made things different. And so I think it's much easier to lie over the phone, to lie behind a computer screen.
absolutely.
I think it's much easier. It's like you get this, what I want to say, like a keyboard boldness. You'll say things on a keyboard that you would not say face to face. your communication from individuals, it can be more direct. It can be rude. It can be an out and out lie because you're sitting behind a computer or a phone. And so I don't think the issue of deceiving individuals or lying has changed. That issue has not changed. The way it's done has changed as we've grown, as we've become more inclined with technology. The way it's done is just different. And you don't expect people to lie because you wouldn't lie. Because you would have a conversation, you would be telling the truth.
Well, I let's not pretend I'm an angel here, but I have my own issues. But lying is, for me, I am like terrified that I would get caught. Like, it's wrong.
You have a conscience.
I don't have to say it, but
you have a conscience and you actually care.
I'm going on whatever and telling the absolute truth, and like not trying to. I don't want to get called out for something that I didn't actually do, and then I'm like reading these other things, and people are like, "Yeah, he like totally made this up," and I'm like, "What? How are you not just like filled with anxiety that you're gonna get caught?" I just don't understand how people don't care.
Right. I mean, it's like being in a relationship. You there has to be some level of vulnerability when you meet a person, if it's romantic or even a friendship, and you're not expecting this other person to lie to you. It's like, I'm telling you the truth about me. Now I have to decide how much of me I'm going to share, what topics I'm going to share, but I'm not expecting you to lie to me. And again, the only thing that has changed is that it's just much easier to do it today than it was 30, 40 years ago. That's just it. But Erin, to your point, what came to me is that I wanted to say being normal is not perfection. People are looking for perfection. And even if you have what you believe or consider to be a normal life, that does not mean that your life is going to be absent of problems. You can be what you define as a normal, healthy relationship or normal, healthy place in your life. That does not mean that you will never be hurt. That does not mean that you will never be lied to. That doesn't mean that you won't lose a job or have issues with family members. It doesn't mean that you'll never be abused or hurt in some manner. So some people are looking for perfection. They're looking for that picture of the family or the individual on the Christmas card, for those who still send out Christmas cards. They're looking for that moment of perfection that is supposed to last every day, all day. Because I guarantee you, even the family, you said who that really is their life. They love each other. They enjoy each other. They go through some things because they're human. Doesn't mean it's abuse. Doesn't mean it's that level. But just a normal, healthy family, you go through things. So I think the wrong idea of normalcy has perfection tied to it. None of us are perfect. None of us are ever going to be perfect. You can have the best relationship in the world. That does not mean that you're never going to disagree. Doesn't mean that you're never going to be upset with each other. What it does mean in a normal aspect is that you know how to deal with the problems as they arise in a healthy way. You know how to deal with anger. You know how to deal with disappointment. Even you know how to deal with success, because there are some individuals. Well, for instance, you can take a beautiful couple who's married, both successful, and they compete with each other. They try to one up each other all the time. That's not normal. That's not healthy. So even success, if you don't handle it the right way, can be detrimental. So, but Erin, to your point, I think individuals are looking for perfection, and nothing is ever perfect. And even if along your route, your journey, if you are hurt, it doesn't mean that something was wrong or is wrong with your normal. It means that sometimes things happen and we have to deal with them when they happen. If I had dealt with my normal of being in that abusive marriage differently, things would have changed sooner for me. But I didn't deal with it in the right way. I was in denial. I was trying to fix it. But, having said that, I believe you both mentioned, you need to have those around you supporting you who can help you, who can point things out, or who you can go to, who you can have conversations with, who can say, this is a little bit off track, or just make you feel comfortable enough to ask some questions. We did X, Y, and Z, and I didn't feel comfortable about that. What do you think? So it's a lot to it. I don't think it's an easy thing. I don't think, you can just say, hey, just go be normal. It's just not, it's not like that. It's something that you have to work at. And I think it's difficult. I guess it's kind of weird to say we all have to have our own normal and be okay and don't let others define us. And then at the same time, like there's like I guess a basic foundation of what normal is or should be. And I would say that basic foundation of normal should just be healthy. It should be healthy because we're all different. So what you do, what I do day to day, it may be different, but still normal and healthy for both of us. Like there are some things that I am not going to eat. I'm just not. But if it's somebody else's normal and healthy, have at it. Your diet is your diet. Do it. Anybody else, your normal healthy regimen may be hitting the gym 5 out of 7 days a week. That's not my normal anymore. I'm not doing that. But you have at it if that's your thing, if that's what you want to do. And we can't, I think we can't live up to or try to live up to what someone else's expectations of normal is. We can't do that. But I think we also, when we find our own normal, we can't let others make us feel bad about that. I mean, unless you're doing something that's destructive and it's not healthy, because if I see something that's not right, a little bit off with someone who's close to me, I'm going to say something. I'm going to speak on it. But if you're doing something and I just happen not to like it, it's just not my thing, I have no right to do that. So I think we have to be careful of not trying to be like other people, and then also not letting other people dictate to us what goes on in our life. And even when you're in that normal place, that normal pattern, and you have something that comes along and you have to deal with it, you deal with it in a way that's best for you. So if you are dealing with wayward children, if you're dealing with domestic violence, if you're dealing with sexual assault, you deal with it in the best way for you, that is healthy for you, and you move forward. And again, all of this is easier said than done. It'd be great if you could just snap your fingers and life just fell together. But it's not like that. Then I think you can do a lot with the word normal. I think so. You guys want to throw in anything else?
Sure. Kind of just bringing it back to domestic violence or trauma in general. I think that just reiterating that our brains are really good at normalizing things in our lives to keep us safe. And so, don't necessarily beat yourself up if you are in that position and you're relearning things because you've gotten out of that a traumatic situation, you've gotten out of survival mode, and you're living again, and you're figuring out what your normal is. Have some grace and compassion for yourself as you relearn that. I agree that there is kind of a baseline normal. And I would say that what it should be is the respect and dignity of people, right? Like I think it's fair to say it's not normal for people to be abusive, or it's not normal for people to hurt other people. I think that's a fair statement. But to your point, Tia, I agree. I think if you're not doing anything that's hurting other people or yourself, live your life, do what you want to do, create the life that you want to live, and have fun doing it, because it's your life and you're the one that has to live it and to be in it every day. I also want to say that there's a difference between normal on an individual level and normal on a systemic level. And I think systemic normalcy is where we get caught up in the wrong things sometimes. But as we look from year to year sometimes, or decade to decade, even that changes, right? Like everything changes, nothing really stays the same. So, let's not get caught up in the details necessarily, but more so how to be good to ourselves and to each other.
Erin?
Yeah, I would say when you said about normalcy being healthy earlier, just that if you are removed from and out of danger, to continually be doing that work of letting your nervous system know that you're out of it. Because again, like logically, we can be out of it. On paper, we can be out of it. But our bodies respond to things and can throw us back into those situations, even if it's not the same, even if it's the clerk that gives you a dirty look at the store.
Yeah.
And so to continually be cognitively working on your healing and creating that health, physically, cognitively, and definitely with your nervous system regulation, and using tools to regulate your body's physiological responses to things that aren't actual dangers, and really being able to discern that for yourself, and getting support with that in the community.
Yes. And so I'm glad that you made that point, because I want to say with being in what you believe or what you are defining is a normal space for yourself, if you are still dealing with trauma, if you're still dealing with triggers, if you're dealing with flashbacks, if you're dealing with emotional ups and downs, that does not mean that you are not in a normal, healthy space. What that means is that what you've been through, you're still dealing with it, and you have to dealing with it. And that is just a part of your normal. And we all handle it differently. The point is to handle it. And so, if I get through my day and I'm okay, fine. If I go through my day and I find myself, I've broken down in tears, or I'm just not feeling so great, I may have a moment of depression. I may have remembered something that, it was a trigger. It was a flashback. Something set me off in some kind of way. I'm still me. That doesn't take away the progress that I've made. So you can make huge emotional progress. You can take 1,000,000 steps forward, and then you have a day where you feel like you were just set 1,000,000 steps back. That's okay. Because as we said several times, healing is not linear. It's not a straight line. It's up, down, it's backwards, it's around, it's I'm here and then I'm there. It's okay. The point is just to keep moving, and don't let anyone else define you. Just don't, and live your life. And I think, and I can say this because I think when you've ever been in a moment, and I hope you haven't, but if you have ever been in a moment and it's been life or death, once you come through that, you think about things differently. You see things differently. So for me, part of my normal as I went on, in the years as I'm coming through, is to do what I want, doing what I want to do, doing those things that make me happy. I got my car, I got my Camaro, and it's so funny. My 10-year-old, asked me if she could have it when she turned 16. So, and it was just funny. It was a funny conversation. So, I told her yes, and she's probably going to change her mind a million times before that. I have 6 years. But, I really thought about that. I said, if I end up giving her this Camaro, I'm going to go get a Lamborghini.
Good for you.
I can only go up. It's only
Whoa, girl. Yeah.
it's it's just things like that. Just being for me, it's normal. Now it's normal to laugh. I say things and I do things that, bring a smile to my face. And that's just what I have to do for me. Part of my normal now is watching movies that are I love comedies and sitcoms. That's part of my normal. I know what helps me to stay in a good place and a good spot. I know that about me now. There are things that I know about me now after having gone through my experience that I didn't know before. Some things, I deal with and I have, I wouldn't know myself as well as I do if it wasn't because of that experience. Because I think when you deal with trauma on any level, if you do the work, then there is an inner searching that takes place. It's hard, it doesn't feel good, and it takes time. But if you do that, you'll find some things out about yourself. And I found out I need to laugh. I need to laugh. I need to do some things that I like to do. I found out I need to take a trip a few times a year. I need to visit beaches several times. I need to feel sand. I don't care if it's hot or cold, mild, whatever. I will stand on a beach in the rain because I just love it. I know that about me. So whatever your normal is, get there. And I think the last point that I want to make, and ladies, if you chime in on it, I know we're a bit over the hour. It's okay for your normal to change. What is normal for you yesterday may not be normal for you tomorrow. And it's okay. You have full autonomy. You can do what you want, say what you want, go where you want, or not do what you want. So I don't think that there is a definitive nature on what someone's normal should be. If your favorite color today is blue, it's okay if your favorite color tomorrow is green. So I think that's the last note that I want to leave you with, Love A. Your normal can change, and it's okay. As long as if it's changing because you want it to change, not because of pressure from someone else, not because of pressure from society, not because you're trying to keep up with Instagram or whatever. If your normal change because that's the path that you're on, then cool beans. Do it.
Cool beans. Agreed.
So, ladies, if you would just your final thoughts on tonight. Jen, I'll ask you to go first on, as we wrap up, what is normal?
Yeah, I really think you ended it well. I don't have much to add other than, be as kind to yourself on your journey as you would be to your best friend. We can be really difficult on ourselves and what we're not doing and what we don't have. And you would never talk to somebody else the way that you talk to yourself sometimes. So yeah, just grace and compassion for yourself as you walk through life. It's hard and everybody is going through it.
Erin?
Beautiful. Thank you so much, both of you. It's been an awesome conversation. I feel like I'm walking away with a little journal prompt exercise situation where I just feel like, oh my gosh, I need to check in and celebrate and do a little like, okay, what was my normal in my 20s? What was my normal when I was in my 30s? Well, maybe that, or like every 5 years, maybe, our listeners could do something like that if they wanted to, like check in with what that was and what it is now that you're making normal. And then maybe like an aspiration of what you'd like to be normal, So I don't know, it could be a fun little exercise, because so much of what you both have shared tonight is making me realize that I haven't really checked in on what that means for me, in a way that maybe my unconscious things are kind of dictating some things, and I want to check in on that. So thank you, ladies.
Oh, but that is great. Jen,
Yeah.
you want to say something else?
No, I love that. I love that idea.
Yes, I think that is perfect. I think I might I don't know, maybe I might go journal about a white Lamborghini.
That we are not going to let you live that one down.
Nope.
We got to see it.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I tell you, I mean, if you're going to change, then change for the better. Upgrade, okay? If we're going to do some different things, let it be better. Let it be you. Let it be what you want. Ladies, thank you so much for being here on tonight. Love Bay, if you want to catch up on previous episodes on our program, you can visit our YouTube channel, Surfing in Silence TV. We thank you so much for joining Surfing in Silence with Evangelist Tia here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Love Bay, we want you to remember that we're rising out of the ashes together. Good evening.